We're back at it here at Tom's Toons, and what's behind me is a 2007 23-foot long, 8.5 wide JC Tritoon. Let's take a look around this boat. Cool thing about this is we just had a 2021 JC Tritoon, big thing, like 25-footer with a 300 horse on it. Really beautiful boat. We did a couple little minor weld repairs, but this boat they picked up for a really good deal, knowing they were going to bring it to me to redeck it, vinyl it, bring it up to modern times. They paid a fraction of the price of a new boat. So invest in something that's only got 100 hours on the motor, find the right deal, give it a couple upgrades, and you've got a boat that's going to give you just as much fun as those brand new ones that they're charging an arm and a leg for. Let's take a look around, show you the layout, and we'll hop inside, show you the seats and why we're just doing the floor on this and not a whole restoration. Outdated carpet, but what we've learned and what we love on these JCs is that they didn't glue them. There's no adhesive used. It's just a really heavyweight back carpet. Normally, always glue your carpet. They just have always done it this way. It works for them, I guess. My fear would be dragging a cooler across vinyl or carpet that's not glued and it wrinkling or doing something else. Boat all around is in really good shape. Railings, rub rails. So we've got a fuel compartment in here, gas tank, fuel fills in there, little fiberglass work. The 150 Evinrude. This is a 2-cycle. I know there's like a mixed opinion out there on the ETEC. You gotta do some spark plugs, do your routine maintenance on them. Really great, really powerful motor in the outboard industry. You've got stern entry here. Have a nice little step up, walk on in, get in the boat. Let's climb in, take a look at those seats. They're in really good shape. And then we'll get started on this thing. So this boat, tons of space in here. The seats are, I mean, this vinyl feels brand new. It's been really well kept. Seats are broken in, but really soft. A lot of storage underneath. Again, great candidate. We're gonna get rid of this kind of dove gray carpet. A lot of different colors going on this boat, so it's kind of hard to dial in exactly what color floor was gonna work best, but we're gonna go with the gray weave. It's got kind of some blue hints. It's got some of the darker hints. There's some silver and grays and the decals on the outside. A little bit of everything in this boat. But everything's coming off today. And then new deck, vinyl, and right back together. We're doing a couple little upgrades too. We're gonna do some underseat LED lighting, under deck LED lighting, and we're gonna mount a fish finder on the console for them too. Big day today.
What's that thing for?
This thing?
Mm-hmm.
It stored something. You can see there's like, might have been a ladder or something. Look at that.
That's awesome.
Trash can. Here's another one. I've said it before. Don't leave food in your boat. Snacks, garbage. If you got food in there, I don't care if it's out on the dock, critter's gonna be finding that. Don't let them critters in there. That's extra storage. Here is underskinning in a nutshell. You have to remove, we gotta start in the front. We're gonna drill these rivets out. They're usually a 3/16 rivet. And what we do is we drill them out with a 7/32 drill bit and pop them out. I label them, port side 1 being the farthest forward, this is the front of it. And they're gonna overlap as they go back. That way water would just hit and fall and not go up and get on the other side of the underskin. This one's goofy when you get to the back. There's some bolts we gotta unbolt. It's not real convenient, but we get it done. It's a hot, sweaty, hot metal kind of job, but that's what we do. I get under here with my drill bit and a pair of pliers. Show you this in a second here of how we do this. So I'm just gonna drill these out. And if just the head comes off at first, that's fine. I grab my pliers, I back it off, just reverse gently, and that gets the rivet off, gives me a clean drill bit. But I am gonna need to run this through all the way and clear that hole so that when I bring my 3/16 rivets back in to rivet this back up, that way my hole is clear. It's a lot simpler rather than having to drill all these back out just to reinstall. So I do all my drilling once, then it'll be ready to reinstall when we come back. So I'm just gonna keep doing this, all, I don't know, 40 of these rivets, and then it'll drop off and we'll have access to the whole underside of the boat. As you can see, we've got our vinyl floor on. This is that gray standard weave, 8.5 foot, 23 and change for the length, 8.5 wide. Here's something, if you're working on a boat with these U-shaped pontoons, they're flat on top. We've got like 2 inches, give or take here. I can't reach my arm all the way in across these pontoons. It's just not happening. Before you put your deck trim on, the stuff that's gonna cover up this edge, you've gotta get your wires run and your hardware in that needs to go in, because once those are on, the railings bolt on top of those, there's no accessing stuff easily underneath the boat. Here's what I do, and this is Low Pontoons did this too, a lot of their older boats, JC, there's a couple other brands that did the U-shaped pontoons. I'm gonna show you my trick right now of what I do on these. I've got a super detailed map of where everything goes so that I can put it in beforehand. So for instance, this is where everything's gonna run up. I've gotta push all these wires up through. With the deck trim on here, there's no accessing that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all my wires run up through. That's where the console will go. And the console, luckily in this case, is just bare on the floor. So that gets screwed into the deck and the wires will all come up sort of over in this back corner here. I even mapped out where the console is in relation to the front of the deck and the side of the plywood in case I needed to install it first. But drilling this hole, took a measurement of the old board. It was up 18 3/4, 8 inch in on center. That's where it went. And now I can go ahead, run my wires, get the deck trim on. The other thing I do, I went ahead and installed the ladder, the swim ladder fully. So that's full bolted, huge washers under there. It's what was on there before. And then this one's easy because it lines up with that mark on the back of the pontoon. That's what we're talking about, the U-shaped pontoons. So get that all in, then there's no guessing, there's no reaching, there's no trying to make tools, we've done it before, to reach underneath there. So something hugely important to make note of when you're doing a boat like this with U-shaped pontoons. Those cutouts there are for electrical and for fuel system access. I like to start with my steering cable because that's the hardest one to manipulate and get through. It's just not as flexible. It's a 1/2 inch of, there's steel in there, hard plastic. So we're gonna run that up. And the other thing, while I've got more space to work with, is getting my shift throttle cables up, because these, even if the motor's unhooked, I might be able to shorten these a little bit, but there's not a lot of play in this whole metal end. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those lined up. And there's just enough space to chase those up and get them through safely. Just lay this stuff off the side of the boat for now until we get the console up there. Then I can go ahead and run the rest of my, these are my electrical connections, run those up through. They're more malleable, a lot easier to work with. I've talked about in other videos, but these are labeled with letters that correspond to the other plugs. I still do it just because it makes my job a little easier, makes things move a little bit faster. I ran underdeck LEDs, so I already ran the wires for those because it's a lot easier to do it now than it would be after the deck trim's on. And lastly is all of my outboard ignition harness stuff. And these are a whole bunch of smaller plugs. Typically you're not going to have very big of plugs on these, so don't worry about that. We can just chase them up one at a time, get all this pulled up, and I can get all the deck trim on. Moving right along here. Sometimes I can just take the whole harness, bend it gently in half, get that started, because everything's at a little bit different length on your lead for your gauges, for your ignition, your safety, neutral safety, your kill lanyard. But what I can do is start to pull that, and then once I get it close, I'll just pull one little set of wires at a time up through, careful not to damage any connectors or pull too hard. I cut a 4-inch hole in here. There was no grommet or anything on it from the factory. It just comes up through the console. Water can't get at it. It's under skin underneath the boat, so no spray is going to hit it. It's safe this way without a rigging grommet. You can absolutely add a rigging grommet if you want to. We just reinstall it how it came from the factory though. All this wire is pulled up through. I've got some slack. but we'll take care of that. We'll tie that up under the helm, or you could tie it up under the boat. Either way is okay. We're ready to get the deck trim on, get the console up here, keep moving along. We just wrapped this up. This is that 2007 JC Tritoon. Got a 150 on the back. They got a great deal, boat motor and trailer, but it just needed the updates, and that's what we're here for. Seats were in great shape. We just need to complement them with the right floor. This is a vinyl, the gray vinyl weave. It blends well with the color scheme. They've got a little bit of white, some charcoal accents in the seats. We got blue. It ties in really well. Let's hop in, walk back. We'll show you the other quick little upgrades we did while it was here. Something you could think about adding to your boat. So because this customer just bought it, they wanted to make it their own a little bit. We did a nice 9-inch Garmin up on the dash here. It's on a little pivot mount so you can move it around. The other neat thing was adding some accent lighting. And this boat actually was pre-wired for courtesy lights under the seats. So we were able to use those wires. They were capped off. They never got used. They're in the harness. We were able to tap into that wire, pull it to the last switch that was unused, and now we've got lights on the interior for nighttime cruising. And the other thing we did was we went ahead, there was a switch already in place, and we added the under deck LEDs as well. So this boat got a really the best way to modernize it. We got the best flooring available, and we added some updated LED lighting to make it work better for this customer. Thank you for watching. We're gonna keep working on boats. We'll see you on the next video. Remember this flooring, the LED kits that we used, we've got videos on how to install those specifically, and you can save 5%. We've got a coupon code in the description of this video. See you next time.